finish the head off with several half hitches, like this. Clip off the excess thread, and with your bodkin, pick up a drop of head cement and apply it to the head of the fly like this. When finished, your fly should look something like this. Incidentally, a better way of finishing the fly is with a whip finisher. Instead of using several half hitches to finish off the head, make only one. Take the thread away from the eye of the hook with the spring. Engage the thread between the finisher and the eye in the outer of the two U-bends at the point. Place the inner U-bend against the head of the fly and rotate the whip finisher 3 or 4 turns like this. Holding the turns with the thumb and forefinger of the left hand, disengage first the spring, then the point of the whip finisher. Pull the tying thread tight and the whip finish is complete. Believe me, by mastering this technique, not only will your flies be much stronger, but you will save yourself a good deal of time. Now, watch it again. The fly you have just tied is known as the brown hackle. This fly will catch fish, but the final approval has to be given by the trout. So try it. A basic wet fly usually has 4 components. They are the tail, the body, the hackle, and the wing. The relationship between the size of these components and their balance is absolutely vital to the success of the fly, as it must swim upright and have a very lively action. If it is to catch fish, your fly must perform properly. This is why it is critical that its proportions be correct. Notice, the tail is approximately the same length as the body. The hackles extend from the head of the fly to the point of the hook, and the end of the wing is directly above or slightly behind the outside bend of the hook. Later, as we get into tying streamers and nymph patterns, we shall see there are some exceptions to this rule. The fly you will now tie is a conventional pattern known as the throat-hackled professor. It is much favored by those who fish for cutthroat trout. The hook we have selected is again a number 6 regular wet fly hook. Having selected a fine thread, ensured that it is properly waxed, attach it to the shank of the hook, wind it back to the bend, and secure it with a half hitch. Strip a small clump of fibers from a large red hackle and, keeping the tips aligned, tie them in above the bend of the hook. like this and secure it with a half hitch. Cut off the excess material. The body of the fly will consist of two materials, yellow wool and oval tinsel. Now, it is important that they be tied in the opposite order from which they are to be wound. When more than one material is used in forming the body of a fly, this is always the golden rule. Since the tinsel will be the last to be wound, we will tie it in first, like this. Again, secure with a half hitch. Cut off about 3 or 4 inches of yellow wool and attach it in the same manner. Wind the tying thread forward over the wool towards the eye of the hook and secure with a half hitch. Leave sufficient room to tie in the throat hackle, the wing of the fly, and the finished head. Now, form the body of the fly by winding the wool forward to the tying thread. Secure it, snip off the excess material. Rib the body by winding the oval tinsel forward in 4 or 5 well-spaced turns and secure with the tying thread. Clip off the excess. And secure with a half hitch. From a soft brown hen hackle, clip off a small clump of fibers. Position them under the shank of the hook so that their tips extend to the point of the hook. Holding them with the finger and thumb of the left hand, secure firmly in place with the tying thread. Snip off the excess material. Hold fast with a half hitch. Wet flies are tied with several types of wings. Among them are hackle-tip wings, quill wings, hair wings, and the rolled tip wing, which we will show you now. Take a mallard drake flank feather and snip off about ½ an inch. Fold the fibers over. Holding the rolled wing, position it over the body of the fly so that the ends of the wing extend just behind the bend of the hook. Secure it firmly in this position with several turns of the tying thread and clip off excess. Finally, form the head of the fly by making several turns of the tying thread. Hold fast with a half hitch and finish with the whip finisher. Clip off the thread and with your bodkin apply a drop of head cement and your finished fly should look something like this. I have found this fly to be particularly successful in the fall. It is equally good for either landlocked or sea-run cutthroat trout. And across the years, I think it has afforded me as much or maybe even more fun as any other pattern that I use.